So you have a Hollywood blockbuster movie you've been casted for, or you just realized you want to get healthier and do better for yourself. So let's meal prep these 3 budget-friendly ideas with an air fryer. First thing you're going to want to do is get a bowl. You want to crack 4 eggs into that bowl. Now 4 eggs is typically what I do. Most people, you are going to have to modify this to your macros. So in most cases, you're going to find that people use 3 eggs. I use 4 because my diet is currently based off of a 200-gram protein intake. So it does have a certain number of calories, which I use MyFitnessPal to figure that out. But again, my macros aren't your macros. Unless, of course, you're, a 6'5", 210-pound, just stud. But other than that, I would definitely figure out what your macros are. So after we crack our eggs, we're going to want to go ahead and season them. So I used a very basic blend, salt and pepper. This is what I've used ever since I was young. It works for me, having strayed from as I got older. And frankly, I don't think you're supposed to put anything else on eggs. You can add cheese, but other than that, no. And I want to say this is maybe 1/8 of a cup, or maybe even 1/16 of a cup of almond milk. And it's really just to add a little bit of fluffiness to the eggs. Low key, I just kind of pour and count to 4 in my head, but that is not an accurate measurement. So then you're going to go ahead and whisk that up to get everything nicely mixed together, as you can see here. Make sure you get some of those seasonings off the side that sometimes get up there. Next, we're going to go ahead and get our spinach, the veggies for our cups. So get its knife out. Try to be fancy right here with it. What could I say? Cinematography. But basically, I just got some baby spinach here. And I'm just going to add it to the cutting board and then dice it up really fine so that it will go in the quiche cups, evenly distributed. So that way it's not one quiche cup has a lot of spinach and then the other quiche cups don't have any spinach in them. Cutting all of the leaves vertically, up and down vertically, yeah. Cutting them vertically, and then after that, I'm going to switch and then dice them horizontally. And then we'll be able to add that to the bowl. Make sure when you are using sharp objects that you're not using dull knives, you're paying attention, making sure that children are not in the way of danger, and that you're keeping your fingers clear from that blade. Then we're going to take our finely diced spinach, and we're going to go ahead and add that to our seasoned egg batter mix. Whisk the entire mixture again, just to make sure, again, that spinach is well diversified in the mix, and that we're not having too much spinach necessarily clumped to the bottom or just floating on the top. Next, I like to use these reusable silicone muffin cups. That's what we call them, silicone muffin cups. And I like to spray each of these with a little bit of avocado or olive oil, which we usually get from Trader Joe's, just so that when I finish the quiche cups, they don't stick to the inside and they still come out, fairly whole. And then all you're gonna do is you're gonna fill this the cup up about, I want to say it's 3/4 of the way. This one I filled a little too high, but as you can see for the rest of these, you only want to fill them up 3/4 of the way. I would even go as far as to say half of the way, just because when they are being cooked in the air fryer, they are going to expand quite a bit, and so you don't want it to necessarily overflow. So that's why it's recommended that you fill this up about halfway, 3/4 of the way at the absolute max. All right, so as you can see, for about 4 eggs, it takes about 5 of these silicone cups, roughly. So while the air fryer is heating up, taking my quiche cups and I'm distributing them on the air fryer tray. Being cautious not to spill the eggs on the counter, because obviously you don't get the macros or the nutritional value from eggs left on the counter. Then we're going to go ahead and take the tray. And in this particular model, there's 2 levels. There's the higher one and the lower ones. I've never air fried in this particular model because we do have a Ninja air fryer and that's only 1 level. So I know for that one how it's supposed to work, but this one I was not aware. So I put it on the top and I set it for 15 minutes at 400. So at about 7 minutes, you can see now what I'm talking about, where I said that the eggs are going to be slightly inflated at this point, which is why you don't want to overfill. So you can see that middle cup is ideally what you're looking for, and the other four, not exactly what you're looking for. So after 7.5 minutes in this case, I basically just took the cups from the top rack, rotated them to the bottom rack, and let it finish out the rest of the time on that bottom rack. All right, as you can see, the quiche cups are done. A beautiful golden brown color. And basically all we have to do is let these cool off, and then they'll be all good to eat. And this is the final breakfast. So I have a cinnamon raisin bagel, and I'm using a pumpkin spice butter. I have the quiche cups with the spinach, and then I finished off this breakfast with a Greek yogurt by Chobani. I believe this is the peach one. Next up, we're going to have our chicken and rice. Now, this is a typical staple in the fitness community associated with anybody losing weight. Basically, you can see here, I have chicken breast, which has less fat, more protein in it, and I'm just coating both sides of the chicken with olive oil. Now, why do I use olive oil? I use olive oil as opposed to butter or anything else because it's a healthier fat, right? It's not processed, it's not refined, especially with us, we use extra virgin olive oil. And then I happen to be using, in this case, it's actually a fish seasoning spice blend that we get from Trader Joe's, but it actually tastes pretty good on the chicken. So you can see here, I've actually just flipped it over, and I'm using, again, the same seasoning blend on the back side. So I've preheated my air fryer, and I'm going to add 2 pieces of chicken to both sides. Yes, they are going to shrink while they cook, but I don't want to overcrowd the tray. And besides, I had enough room, enough trays. There's no need to overspace. There's room for everyone. So I usually set this on 400 for about 20 minutes. So at the 10-minute mark, you can see I was about 20 seconds late here. I like to rotate these, mostly because it says turn food. But if you think about it, I want to put it at the higher setting and then the lower setting as well. So once that's done, take both of those out. You can see there's that beautiful golden brown color. That is not just the camera. That is just the glory of the air fryer. And I'm just checking, make sure all these are done. And when I press down, any juice or liquid that comes out is not red or pink. Next, we're going to go ahead and get the rice. So I put, I believe, about a cup of jasmine white rice. And you can see here I'm actually doing a bulk meal prep. But if you were to do 1 serving, in my case, I believe it's just a cup. But then I'm going to add the same parts water to the mixture. Turn on our rice cooker, and unlike the popcorn button, if you press the rice button on the Instant Pot, it actually does what it's supposed to. So you can see I'm done here, and that small brown section is actually pepper. I did salt and pepper this before. I just didn't have that video footage recorded. So I added 2 to 3 tablespoons of ghee, which is the butter alternative that we use. Just mixing that around, and then I'm adding cilantro here, and then following that up with some lime juice. Now, my mom, you can see she uses the zest on the back of the lime. I personally don't care for it, but this is how you get that cilantro-styled chipotle rice, if you will. And this is the final plating of it. So you see here we have our rice bowl, and then we have our chicken breast right there, and that's the meal. Last but not least, let's get into dinner. So for dinner, got some salmon here. I'm covering it with olive oil again, and I'm using that fish seasoning because this is fish. And I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I get that seasoning all over the salmon. And I want to note here, don't take the skin off of the salmon at this point. I know a lot of people are tempted to do that. Don't do that. Leave it on while we're cooking. It's going to help. Yes, mercury is in the skin and you don't necessarily want to eat a lot of it, but for cooking, it's important. Next, we're going to get our asparagus, and again, just olive oil, salt, and pepper. Nothing too crazy. At the end of the day, salt and pepper will carry you most of the way if you don't want to add too many extra spices. And then just go ahead and make sure that the seasonings are well distributed. Mix that around, and you can do this with your hand. I got both of our trays. We're going to put the salmon on one tray, as you can see here, with the skin down. And then after we've completed that, we're going to go ahead and make sure that the salmon is not overlapping each other, so that way it's all evenly exposed to the heat and has enough room to cook on its own. That way certain sections aren't undercooked. And then after that, we're going to add the asparagus to the other tray, trying our best to make sure that, again, pieces of asparagus aren't laying on top of each other. And you don't have to necessarily do this with the tongs like I'm doing here. Actually, you can see I switched over. You can use your hands, especially if you wash them and they're clean. Just want to make sure that each piece of asparagus, or asparagus, I'm not sure how you say that actually, is laid flatly. Then you want to open up your air fryer. And I put the salmon, I started with the salmon on the bottom tray and the asparagus on the top tray. Now just close it up and hit start. We're all good to go. Now for this one, I actually only did 15 minutes, I believe. I didn't do the full, or no, I did 20 minutes for this. 400 for 20 minutes, that's what I did. And at the 10-minute mark, I was able to, again, you just want to rotate the asparagus, not because it's not going to cook all the way through, all the way around, but just also to help them not stick to the tray when you are done. And then, just like with the chicken, rotated the two racks, bottom to the top, top to the bottoms. Now the salmon's on top, the asparagus is on the bottom. And in the remaining time, I'm going to use this to prepare my red quinoa. So, add the quinoa to the pan, add the right amount of water. I believe it's a 1 to 1.5 ratio, but I'm not sure. The correct measurements will be in the description below. And I added some salt, just distributed that throughout. Then we're going to bring that to a boil by placing a lid on it. And when that's done, we're going to whisk it up with a fork. And you can see the final result here. Look at that beautiful plate. We got the salmon, the asparagus, the red quinoa, and the lemon for a little bit of pizzazz. You can spread the juice on the salmon when you're ready to eat it. Finally, let's talk a little bit about meal prepping and the containers. So as you can see here, being a college student, I'm not always home to eat, but I do like to use these plastic microwavable containers. And then I have extra chicken that I have just in a container, extra salmon in case I run out during the week, whatever the case may be. Now, for this part, I want to talk about this because if you're going to meal prep, chances are this is not your full-time job, right? You have school, you have work, you have other things that you do in your life. And so this is a schedule that I use to weekly meal prep so it doesn't feel overwhelming or like I have to cram it all in one day. So on Thursday, if I bought any bulk things from Costco, so that could be the chicken, that could be the salmon, I want to take those out of the freezer, put them in a bowl, and let them thaw out for the next 2 days in the refrigerator, right? So that way, by the time Saturday comes, run it under warm water to get rid of any extra or residual ice flakes. But you're going to clean your chicken, and then you can use those spice blends, marinate, again, add the olive oil so that the seasonings stick to the meat, marinate your mixtures, and then put them back in those bowls, cover them with plastic wrap, so that way on Sunday, when you're ready to air fry or you're ready to bake or however it is that you want to prepare them, you can prepare those meals. You can weigh out your macros if that's something that you do. I totally would recommend that. Package those, and then you'll be all ready to go. And yes, it looks like 3 days, and it's like, wow, that's half the week. But if you think about it, thawing the frozen ingredients, that's putting 2 bags of, chicken and fish in a bowl and putting them in the refrigerator. That takes maybe 2 minutes. And then cleaning and marinating, that may take a total of, 15, 20 minutes. And then preparing, that one may take the most with about an hour and a half. But once you've gotten it down and you've done it a couple of times, it's not even that bad for real. So again, this is just my schedule that I use. You can do whatever works for you. So there you have it. We've made 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all healthy options with great natural ingredients that are going to help you on your fitness weight loss journey. Thank you so much for watching. Here's some other videos you might be interested in.